Hi everybody, how are you? How are you doing this weekend? My name is EVELYN Ikandi, Eva Mwende here, your host. Thanks for being with me on my YouTube channel. Mimi mama mwenzenu hapa naitwa EVELYN Ikandi. Mimi ni mshauri ama psychotherapist. And today I'm mixing both Swahili and English for the sake of the women I want to reach out to because leo ni siku yetu kina mama. My topic today is not just a topic. Mimi hufanya topic tofauti kila wiki, lakini leo nikaamua si topic nitafanya, nitawapa story yangu kidogo. Ulikuwa mwaka wa 1999. It was in 1999 when I did my wedding. It was a church wedding. 10th April 1999. Sitawahi sahau. But I was 7 months pregnant. Nilikuwa na mimba ya miezi 7 siku ya harusi yangu. Na tulifanya kanisani. But I was pregnant. Ile kanisa letu, of course moja hizi kanisa za watu ambao wameokoka, if you get pregnant before the wedding, kuna yani utaratibu unafuata kwa yale makanisa. You stand before the congregation, you apologize. You apologize to the church. And that's what we did. Walipotangaza, lile tangazo la harusi, when they announced our wedding, we did our wedding band in church. We had to stand up and apologize to the congregation and say, sorry church, we sinned, tulianguka, hivi na mimba, lakini tunafanya harusi. That's what we did. Because that was the protocol of the church. The church was Glory Tabernacle, pale Nairobi, katikati ya Uhuru Park. That's why we were going to church, and that's the church that wedded us. On this day of the wedding, let me take you back. The day before the wedding, we were supposed to sign our marriage certificate at Sharia House because the church did not have certificates. Normally, I hear if a church, those days, I don't know if things have changed. If a church gets the marriage certificate booklet after 3 years of operation. So by that time, our church was barely 3 years old. So most of the members were doing their wedding by either inviting a pastor from another church to present over the wedding with their certificates, or go to Sharia House, register the marriage, then after 90 days, you go pick the certificate. So we opted for the 90 days Sharia House option. So we had registered the wedding so that on the 90th day, which is on Friday, kesho yake ndio harusi sasa. So on Friday, when we were to pick the certificate, he didn't show up. Hakuja. So we didn't sign the certificate. And normally those days, when you give a 90-day gazette notice, if it ends, if it lapses without you signing, wanaipiga marufuku, una apply upya. So that Friday, ours was nullified, we had to apply afresh. He didn't show up. Reasons being, kulikuwa na jam industry area. And my best maid looked at me akaniambia, Evelyn, hapa kuna shida. She already sensed danger. How does your guy not come to sign a marriage certificate the day before the wedding? Those were danger signs, telltale signs. Yani zilikuwa dalili za mapema. Nikaenda nyumbani nikaambia mamangu tu, let's call off this wedding. You know, my heart felt like something was so wrong. My mama akaniambia hataki aibu. Kawaida ya wazazi wengi. I love my mom and I don't blame her. So that's what happened. Yeah, we got married without a wedding certificate. So he excused himself. Akasema, don't worry, we'll apply again after the wedding. After all, we have the blessing of the church. And that's how we started living together. 2 months later, I got my baby. On my birthday, nilizaa mtoto wangu siku ya birthday yangu, firstborn wangu, Destiny Mapenzi. 12th June 1999. We got married. Had the baby. And life was good. Not so good though. Trouble started shortly after marriage. The moment I got my baby, I got infections. You know those infections women get after delivery? Boils all over. And I told him I need to go to hospital. He said, no, my sisters get worse boils than yours. In fact, my sisters get boils on their breast after delivery. Kwa hivyo yako si kitu. I was not supposed to go to hospital. So on the 3rd day, I picked money from his coat, 1,000 shillings, and went to hospital. In the evening, when he came back, I told him, I've taken your money, nimeenda hospitali, nimetibiwa. The beating I got, that was the first time I was beaten. What was I to do? Siwezi rudi kwetu, nikatulia nikanyamaza. A few months later, we relocated to Kisumu, started our life all over again in Kisumu. And sadly, we went to the same estate where he had been brought up. Makasembo Estate, for those who know it. It's a Kanjo, Kanjo Estate. This is where he had grown up. It was a family house. So the family thought it better for us to take up that family house. So you can imagine me going back to this place where he had grown up, where he had had his childhood love, big girlfriend, who looked at me like, who is this woman? I was a stranger, but we loved each other somehow. Tukangangana too. But once in a while we had our fights, physical fights. By this time, remember, I have nothing like academic qualification except my Form 4 certificates. So I started making snacks, and I'm glad I have a few people in my life today who remember these days, like Caroline Bright. Thank you. I remember those days you supported my kebab business. I would make kebabs, popcorn, maandazi, and supply to shops, supply to offices in Kisumu. But this time, all he wanted was a housewife. He never wanted this kind of outgoing woman. So he was also not comfortable with my small business. And tukaendelea tu. Violence would erupt once in a while, and I would ignore it. Remember, we're also churchgoers, looking very happy. We look like this very happy couple. Yeah, watu wa kanisa sana. So I remember one time the mother came visiting and hell broke loose, and we just couldn't agree. So I left. I just got so tired. I went home to my parents. This is the first time I was returning home after the wedding. And I told my parents, I'm tired of the marriage. I want to just give up. So my dad said, yule mtu anakutesa kwa sababu hauna masomo. You didn't finish, you didn't advance your education. Remember, after high school, I was to travel out of the country at some point. I was to just go advance my studies. But I had given up all that to get married. So my dad was like, Ebu rudi usome. So I went back to school. I did my diploma in community development. And my dad said, that man will only pick you after you have cleared your diploma. Let him come and apologize, and let him also come and pay a bit of your dowry. Remember, by the time we wedded, I was pregnant. So according to the Luo culture, somebody tell me if it's true. You don't pay dowry for a pregnant woman. So they said that you wait until we deliver, then the dowry will be paid. So now it's about 2-3 years down the line, 2 years, and nothing has been given. No one has come to even say anything from the family. So my dad said, if he really loves you, let him come with his family. Let him come pay your dowry. So I studied at the Institute of Community Development in Nairobi, 1 year, 1.5 years around there. Cleared the diploma. And mwanamke ni nani? Out of love, nikajirudisha Kisumu. I didn't even follow my father's instructions that yakuje tuongee. No, took myself back because of mapenzi. Nikajiregesha. We went back, continued living our life, and I felt an empowered woman. Started my projects, started doing things here and there. But all this time, he was very uncomfortable. He didn't like what I was doing. I thought, later I got to pick like he had wanted a housewife, not an empowered woman. Fast forward, he didn't want me to work. I remember getting a job with Kefiado, Kenya Female Advisory Organization. Mrs. Okech, God bless you, wherever she is. May God bless that organization. It was my first to do my internship. He didn't want me to work. I quit. Nikaacha kazi. Nikarudi kwa nyumba. A few months later, I registered a community-based organization, Sitara. And I was this ambitious, aggressive 27-year-old. I picked, Nyanza Cinema in Kisumu town. I picked it and started my project there. Of course, he wasn't supportive at all. I remember talking to the business community in Kisumu to support. Lynette, did you remember we started this project that you couldn't come on board because he couldn't allow anybody around me. He didn't want you around me, remember that? And that was it. This man wanted no friend around me. He wanted no partnerships with anybody. He just wanted us to be us so that when I'm beaten, no one knows. I think so. When we fight, nobody knows we are fighting. There's a lot of insecurity in the marriage. So fast forward, this project collapsed of course, for the obvious reasons. A few months later, I was struggling all alone. But one thing I remember caught my attention is every time I got somebody wanting to support the organization, he would want to know, who is this person you're talking to? Those days we had the small phones. I remember those days. He would want to see my phone, who had called me during the day. And violence erupted. So I remember one day, this time around, I was about 2 months pregnant. he beat me up, saying that the people calling me to support my project wananitongoza. I was beaten and I miscarried. That was, I think, my wake-up call, like, where you'll die in this relationship. So I went to FIDA Kisumu, reported the incident. And according to FIDA, after, of course, listening to the story, they said, no, ma'am, leave this man alone. Then we'll take up the case. Women, we are women. A few months later, I withdrew the case and forgave him. Of course, after kubembeleza, and you luo men. You tell your mommy, toto, everything. Shopping you've never been done for, unafanyiwa. Nikachanganyikiwa. I withdrew the case. Sadly, withdrew the case, continued living together. A few months later, I got pregnant again. This time around, I'm doing other businesses like curtains making and all that. My project is hanging somewhere. And I got a baby, my second born. Remember when I was pregnant, his father passed away. So according to him, Baba, anabebwa kwa hiyo mimba. That was, I think, everybody's expectation, like, our dad will be replaced. I don't know where that mentality comes from. So after delivering the baby, a baby girl, who I delivered through a very difficult delivery. Actually, I had placenta previa. Blood oozed before the baby came out, and she almost died. We almost lost her, but God bless divine for her, she survived. So I got the baby girl. It didn't amuse him. He wanted a baby boy to replace his father. That's what I thought. That's what he said, verbalized it. And he wasn't amused at the birth of this girl. Hakutaka msichana wa pili. Now I have two girls. So this time he started now being unfaithful. Remember, all this time we had been fighting, having disagreements. There had never been evidence of unfaithfulness. We'd go to church for counseling and pastors would be like, only fighting, only violence, that can change. But there's no unfaithfulness. So you cannot leave each other on the grounds of just fights. Church, church tells you that. And it's okay because that's the Bible. But what if you die with that violence? So in short, I got the baby and he changed because he had wanted a baby boy. And he started being unfaithful. And I think that's when I got a very strong reason to quit this marriage, because for the first time I asked myself, I had seen so many people die of HIV and AIDS in Kisumu. I was already doing this project to help to prevent HIV prevention. HIV was very rampant in Kisumu. What if I get infected with HIV? I'd seen my friends die of HIV. For the first time, I got the evidence of his unfaithfulness. Yes, not falsely accusing. Evidence with evidence. And I told him, it's over. Then remember, he had also brought my mom so close to him, especially my mom. So he had a way of, every time we disagree, I was the wrong one. He was always the right one. And he had a way of winning my mom's heart. So I was always like, Eva wewe wachana na maneno mengi. So this time around I said, I'm not going back to my parents. I will not go back to my parents. I will start life all over again. I relocated from Kisumu to Eldoret. Started life all over again. And I picked my pieces. I was, of course, very bitter because something had just happened when I was about to move out. There was an incident of food poisoning. Never established who did it, but of course my suspicions were that it was him. So I told him, we don't have to die for you to have your life. Neither do you have to die for me to have my life. Watch me walk out of this. And I did. Went to Eldoret, started a new life as a businesswoman. And I remember, I think I was so aggressive at marketing my curtains business. I got orders and that kept me going. I remember doing hotels like Wagon Hotel, Sociani View Hotel. I got orders for curtains. I think the bitterness, the pain of walking out of a marriage pushed me to just work hard to prove him wrong. But all this time I was very, very bitter. In fact, I wanted to revive the FIDA case. But I remember one pastor, Pastor Emmanuel Gitonga, God bless you wherever you are. He called us. Of course, he tried to reconcile us. And at some point, I remember looking at my life like, what if I had died of the poisoning? What if I had died of the violence? What would have happened? Would I be alive to fight? Would I be alive to take him to court? I just gave up and forgave him and said, thank God for my life. I'm moving on as a single mother, and I moved on. After that, of course, I went to Rwanda a bit. I took my kids to my mom in Ngong and went to Rwanda just to heal. I wanted to run away from this pain. Because remember, we had been going to church. We were church members. And according to that time, our church setting that time was that you're not supposed to fail. You're not supposed to divorce. You're not supposed to, you're supposed to have this perfect family. So me being in church and divorced was a very different tale altogether. Actually, I lost friends. I was a Sunday school teacher. I stopped teaching Sunday school. I mean, it was a whole new life, and it was painful, very painful. And most of the time, remember, people don't understand that you walked out. It will be like uliwachwa. Nini ilifanya ukawachwa? And of course all allegations will be made. But I walked out. I walked out. And I had a strong reason too. So I don't know why you're in that marriage. I don't know how many times you've tried to walk out of that violent marriage. Maybe it's a reason, you need a strong reason to walk out. And maybe there are times you've left, but people have tried to reconcile you. Maybe this time you need to walk out, seek help from professionals, and not go back to your family for a while until they understand that you had to leave him. Then you explain it later that, hey, I walked away and we're no longer together. Because I've seen most people, as a counselor, I've dealt with clients who prefer to inform their parents before leaving this violent marriage. The parents will not want that to happen. They'll try to reconcile these people. And after the reconciliation, yes, somebody was beaten again, somebody was hurt again. So I would advise most people, if you've really for purpose to leave this violent marriage, seek professional help. And I'm glad the government has rolled out a program to help victims of GBV, gender-based violence. Ukiamua kumwacha huyu anayekuchapa, anayekuumiza, ondoka kivyako, tafuta ushauri, alafu ukiwezekana usieni kwa wazazi mwanzo. Nenda utafute maisha mahali pengine papya, alafu baadaye ueleze wazazi nishamwacha. Maanake wazazi wengi ama familia zetu nyingi ndio wanazidisha hii shida, maanake hawataki tuachane. Mkumbuka wengine wanaogopa aibu, wengine, some of these violent men give something, they give a tip to these family members. So watakakubalije muachane kama washapewa pesa? So what I'm saying is, you don't need to die in that marriage. It's been close to over 16 years since I walked out. No regrets. Of course, I've had my other experiences after that, but I have never regretted for leaving that man. Paul Oteto, I forgive you. I forgive you from the bottom of my heart, though much later I was very hurt when he stayed with my daughter, my second daughter, for 12 years. I never got to see her until 4 years ago when I was reconciled with her. But all that I forgave him for and moved on. Sina machungu na yule mtu. Because I'm glad to be alive. I'm grateful that I'm alive. You're better off living to tell your story than you to die and leave us telling your story. And I support all the women who've been through gender-based violence, because it crashes when you're beaten, when you're physically assaulted, and when in violent marriages, most physically violent marriages, there is a lot of emotional abuse. There is a lot of psychological abuse, the torture, the psychological torture. It eats your self-esteem. You don't even have the power to make decisions. The decision-making process is interfered with. You have no confidence. And remember, we are blamed a lot because it's often the woman who is on the wrong. It takes your self-esteem being together again. It takes your heart being healed again. It takes a mental healing process for you to rise up and start making decisions, to take back your life. Remember, some of us, before we got married to these men, were very independent women. But with time, they suppress you and they make a new person out of you. They maim you inwardly. You're no longer that strong person, that confident person. You need to heal. So you need a psychotherapist, you need a counselor. And thank God today we have so many counselors around. I'm one of them. During those days, over 15 years ago, there are not as many counselors in Kenya as we have. Hakukuwa na washauri wengi. Hivi sasa kuna washauri. Tafuta ushauri. Njoo kwangu, nitafute mimi, tafuta wengine, tuko wengi kwa sasa. Kwa hivyo usinyamaze na usirudi nyumbani. Kama waona kweli atatetewa, take off, seek help somewhere, professional help. And if possible, try to start your life somewhere else. That's what I would say. I don't know what you think, but we need to stop this. We don't need to have so many news of women dying. So that's my story. Asante.